Welcome to Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show. Along with Don, I'm Sal. Today we have a great topic for you guys. And Don, I'm curious to know what you think about, is there alien life form out there? I know we have discussed this prior, but I want to know, where is everybody, Don? Where is everybody? Do you know?
Well, your first question, is there alien life? I mean, if we think we're the only living beings on this universe, Milky Way, whatever the hell you want to call it, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be trillions of stars and planets and moons and suns and all kinds of stuff out there that if we think that we're the only ones, then we're really, really, really dumb. And number two is, where are they? I mean, maybe they're not detected, right?
You think they're here with us?
I think they're. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I've met some people that I think could be from not of this
I
world.
think, I think I think a lot of the people that are running a lot of the politics. I think a lot of people that are controlling a lot of the money. I think a lot of the people that are manipulating medias and everything else. I think it's a higher intelligence form, and I think they have the ability to manipulate our species here on this earth. And so where are they? I think they're amongst us, but I also believe that there's a lot here that are undetectable, and there's a lot everywhere,
Yeah.
but we don't necessarily detect them. I don't think that we're on the same wavelengths. I don't think that we have the same we don't live we live in alternate universes, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Well, they said what they say, and these are from astrophysicists that I follow quite a few of them. They say that our Earth is only 4.5 billion years old, which in space time, that's really not a lot. They said the Milky Way, now how do they know this? I don't know. They said the Milky Way is most likely 8 billion years old. So if there is life out there in our Milky Way, they've had almost a 4 million year head start on us. So they could be far more advanced than we are. They could come up with propulsion that doesn't show any signs of propulsion or anything. They could be so far advanced that we just don't know it yet because they've had a 4 million year head start. So they have also said that, and this I have known, that there's probably over 400 billion stars just in our Milky Way alone. And they say each one of those stars, most likely 13 billion of them, have planets associated with them. And these planets are in the habitable zone, which means they're not too far away to be frozen, not too close to be, like Mercury on fire. They're just like Earth. They're in that sweet spot where they can maintain life, like water could be there. And usually water leads to life. So the odds are that all the planets that could be out here, and you're talking 13 billion in just our Milky Way alone, the odds are that there has to be life somewhere on there. And they're just so far away that we can't detect them, and they might not be able to detect us. But like I said, they have a 4 million year head start, possibly. So they could be far more advanced than us. So getting back to my question to you is, do you think they're among us? And you say, yeah, these people could be way more advanced than we are. They might not even use lasers and radar like we do now.
Right.
I mean, they could have
What
other
we
things.
think, what we think is advancement is could quite, definitely be like a joke to them. Like, why would we do that? You know what I mean? It'd be like rubbing sticks and stones together to make fire for us. You know what I mean? And the other thing too is, if they have a what would you say, 4 billion year heads?
Yeah.
Is it bill or mil?
It's a 4 billion year head start.
Okay, so
on
4
us.
billion year head start. Think about us in 100 years, what we've accomplished, right?
I'm glad you said that.
TV.
You have hit it right on the head. Exactly.
TV. We went from a Morse code to a telephone to, it was a party line, to a line in the house, to a cordless phone, to a cellular phone,
Mhm.
to now we have phones where we can look at each other and talk, the FaceTime stuff. And now they're putting antennas in orbit, right? Like, that's only in 100 years. Can you imagine
Uh,
4 billion years what you could
you
do?
know what? That is great that you brought that up because that was on my list. And from the time we had our first flight here on Earth, just from that time to when we landed on the moon, 66 years, Don. That's where we advanced in 66 years. First flight to landing on the moon. Getting back to what you just said. Now imagine what we would be doing in 1,000 years. Now imagine if you had that 4 billion year head start. So I think it's a great point. And you went exactly where I was going to go next. With the advancements we've made in just 66 years, like you said, just in 20, 30 years from pagers to cell phones, like you said. Now imagine 1,000 years where we're going to be.
Right. And the other part is this AI and technology thing that we all think we're advancing in, right? Are we really advancing, or are we regressing? Are we creating a survival path, or a destruction path? So, like, you know, I guess a lot of these things we don't know until we get there. But I think what it boils down to is, I think my belief system is, the more simplistic it is, the more truthful it is, the more survivalistic it is, the more complicated, complex, and technological it is, I think the more destructive it is. So that's just my 2 cents on, for what it's worth.
Well, there's so many possibilities, but yet there is no clear evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations as of today. There's not. Now, if you remember, what was it, last year, probably over a year ago, all those things that were flying around, I know we discussed it on a few shows where people were saying, what are these? And they looked like drones, but nobody could tell what they were. And then, President Trump comes out and says, well, if I win, I'm going to let you guys know exactly what it is. And I feel he let us down because when he became president, all he said was, oh, it was just, an experimental thing. That's it.
Kids playing with their planes or something.
No
Who
big
knows?
deal, no harm. I think he sold out on that. I think the government knows what's really going on. There's been many reports, many presidents that have reported that they know stuff and they will not tell us. And I think what's starting to come through now is you have other countries that are exposing this stuff. And now our government has no choice but to address the issue. There are definitely a lot of UAPs out there, and that's just the updated term from UFO, unidentified aerial phenomenon, they call it now. Why? I don't know. They changed it. Maybe it sounds more scientific. I think instead of just saying, hey, I seen a UFO, and people going, oh, you're crazy. If you say I seen a UAP, people might listen to you. I don't understand it. But
It's all got to do with the
it
terminology,
does.
right?
And I think
People
this,
respond to certain words.
right. Well, even growing up, someone says, hey, you know what? I was out last night. I think I seen a UFO. I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when they change the term, now people want to pay attention. But one thing for sure, and I know I had sent you some links on this, that documentary that's kind of new called Age of Disclosure, which I recommend to anybody out here to take a look at that because it basically tells you that the government now is paying attention. The government now is listening. They're conducting hearings, and you have a lot of higher ups in all military levels saying that they've seen things, and they're pretty consistent with what they're seeing. A lot of people are saying they see a lot of things flying that look like a tic tac, a lot of things, and the way they move, like they have things that move that we don't have anything that can move like that. They go so much faster, these objects that they've reported, than anything we've ever made, even Russia and China, they say. But the age of disclosure is the government is now paying attention to people, and you're not, labeled as a nutball anymore. Now people are listening to you. Now, do you think we'll ever get to the bottom of this? Do you think our government will ever just let us know, hey, I mean, there's been a lot of officials in Congress that I watched these hearings when they were point blank asked, have you seen life forms not of this earth? And many people, higher ups, commanders, generals, captains, yes. I've seen it. Now, do you think the government will ever come forward and just say, okay, Roswell, 1950s, it was a couple bodies were recovered and we have them? Do you think we'll ever get to that point where the government will just come clean and tell us, or you think they're going to keep hiding from us?
Well, I think it's like any other topic, right? If they feel they need to satisfy you, they're going to give you little tidbits of it. It's kind of like the JFK and Epstein and all these other things. They
Yeah.
give you very, 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 very little because they feel compelled that they need to. But I believe that there's no way, shape, or form that they would get down to the detail. Number one is the people that would want to make you aware of this don't really have the comprehension to understand the complexity of the situation. And the ones that are involved, whether it's alien life and in human bodies or whatever it may be, they're going to want to stay concealed. So to answer your question, I think that yes, they will give you tidbits that it's going to satisfy the average idiot, right?
Yeah.
But they're not gonna put out information that's going to define anything.
So we're
Absolutely
never
not.
going to get any concrete evidence. You know what? I agree with you. I think you're right. And I think in their past, they have shown that, like you said, with like the Epstein files and the JFK assassination. Every time they get a little heat on them, they release a little bit something more, a little bit something more, just to satisfy you and to shut you up. So I agree with you. But I wish that they would just come clean. They probably think we can't handle it. I don't know why. I don't know why when this first happened that they changed that Roswell crash. They had to come out there right away and say, oh no, it was a weather balloon. I mean, there's so much around that, just that thing alone that they lied to us. And I don't know why they first had to say they had to lie to us. Why couldn't they just say to the American people, there's stuff out there. We don't know what it is.
So it's control, right? Control of people, right? If people realize that alternative thought, you can get to truths. People are going to be alternative thinkers. They don't want that. They want the masses to be controlled. This is a game. This whole planet is a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The creator and the co-creators of this universe called the Best Universe is compiled as a game to see who's the winner, right? And we see all the money it's going up to the upper quarter of 1%, right? We
Mm-hmm.
see the power going to less than a quarter of percent of all people. We see everything going in those directions. So obviously we know that it's a game, but for them to control us, we can't understand alternative thought. And I think alternative thought opens up more doors and more windows than anybody could possibly handle. And I don't think that people would be controlled quite so easily with the media and all the nonsense that they put out there.
So you think it's control. They want to maintain control over us. So by
Absolutely.
not letting us have independent thoughts about what may be out there is a way of controlling us.
1,000%.
Okay, what about other governments? Because they're starting to
I
come out now. They're starting to listen to their people.
Well, I mean, we kind of say that most governments are bad and this and that and they're thieves, and to the most part, we're correct. But there is good people. There's a lot of good people here on this earth, and there's a lot of people that want the truth, and there's a lot of people that are much more capable than what they show, but they've been defined by medias and news and data that's been put out that it's been manipulated or withheld. And so a lot of this stuff is suppressed. That's why, I mean, this is a topic that's, maybe people are like, oh my God, is there really alien? There's not alien. You got to be kidding me. Of course there is.
Yeah, I would think so too. I mean, the odds are, like we had said, they had said that there's, excuse me, there are more stars in our Milky Way than there are grains of sand on all our beaches times a trillion. That's a lot of stars.
Well, basically what they're saying is infinity, incomprehensibility of the reality of alternate, thought and universe, right? I mean, That's really what it boils down to. It's just they don't know numbers. Nobody knows those kinds of numbers, but it's unfathomable the numbers, and that's where they come up with these scenarios, right? Where you say about the pebbles of sand, right? It's just unfathomable how many other alternate life sources or planets or Milky Ways or whatever are
Yeah, I'm
out
just
there.
staying
It's
in our
infinite.
Milky Way. I'm not even going out to the universe and all. There's like billions and billions of other universes out there.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just crazy. And they had said that when you go out at night and you look up at the stars, the majority of those stars that you're looking at are already gone. They're not even there anymore. That's how long it takes for the light to get to us here on Earth. It's just like if you go out and you look at the sun, you're not really looking at the sun. You're looking at the sun 8 minutes ago. That's how far away the sun is. That's how long it takes the light to get to you. So anytime you go outside during the day and you look at the sun, that's technically 8 minutes ago, which I think is fascinating. When you look at the time and the distance between things, they say that I think one of the closest planets to Earth that they would say is habitable. They also call it the Goldilocks zone, where it's just right. Is It's called Proxima Centauri. That's the closest planet that's similar to Earth to us, and it is so many thousands, millions of light years away that if you were standing on that planet right now, if there's alien form out there or life, and they have a super telescope to look at Earth, do you know what they're seeing? The dinosaurs, because that's how long it takes to get there. So if there is other life out there on other planets and they're able to see us because they're far more advanced, what are they really seeing? Do they see us? Do they see our lights? Or are they seeing dinosaurs, if not before? Maybe some planets are so far away that when they do look at Earth, we're still forming. We just had the Big Bang. That's how far away we are. That's what they say is how far away we are and things that we see. So it is endless, and it might not be what it is today. Just as us trying to listen out there, we're not hearing anything. We have no evidence of hearing anything. Maybe we just missed it.
Hmm.
You think that could be?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about like they talk about like time machines and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the analogy that you just gave, right? If you could live in alternate universes, you basically would have a time machine on your hands, right? Like you just mentioned. If you're so far away on an alternate universe, yet you're here, that the difference in time, you'd have a time machine, go backwards, go forward. And so yeah, I mean, the thought is infinite, but I think it really is based on alternate um, worlds, universes, planets, species. So the common term that they put out there, aliens, like you said, that people are like, yeah, whatever. There's no such thing as an alien. Alternate life forms, maybe people would be more receptive to, but I think it's terminology that's been beaten that people no longer listen to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think as soon as you word it a little bit differently, and all of a sudden people start looking at it a little bit like they look at it through a lens that's not been manipulated or fogged, right? Like aliens, there's so many people that debunk it. There's so many people that say, oh, yeah, there is and there isn't, and that it creates so much uncertainty that you hear the word alien, and you're like, whatever, dude. But
Right.
then all of a sudden you hear something different, a different
Yeah.
terminology means the same thing. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, I could be receptive to that.
Yeah, you're completely turned off when somebody says
Yes.
something like that right away. You
Yeah.
start thinking, okay, this one's been hitting the bottle or something.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think it's coming out now. It's more prevalent now that it just keeps coming, and everybody's story is pretty much the same. And I don't see what these captains and these generals in the armed forces, they only have to lose if they come out with this stuff, because they're going to think they're crazy. They're going to take them out of their job roles. They're going to, make sure they seek medical help. This is what it was like years ago. But what I'm saying now is that that's not so much the case anymore.
Well,
They're
it
taking
used
them
to be
serious.
it was more heavily supported, like if you're with in agreement with others, right? that was reality, right?
Hmm.
Reality is based on agreement. So when you are an outcast, right, and you disagree, like I've said before, 100 people in the room, and you're the guy that sees something completely different than everybody else, you're the crazy one. But realistically, you might be the one that's closer to the truth than anybody
Yeah.
else. They're all just agreeing, so that's their reality. You have an alternate reality. That's all it boils down to. So a lot of these crazy people actually are geniuses. That's why they got guys like Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison and all these guys that people thought they were retarded, and these guys were like the smartest people around. And
Right.
so it kind of, back to your point.
We missed out on a lot of people like Stephen Hawking, who was great with this stuff, and he put something out there. I was reading something of his a few years ago, and I love his quote. He had come out and said that we send all these probes out there, like the Galaxy probe, which we sent out in 1977, which I think is at the edge of our solar system right now, if I'm not mistaken. He says, if there is other life form out there, you might not want to let them know we're here because you just don't know what you're going to get. You have to be really careful. We're just sending it out there and we're trying to let people know, hey, we're here on Earth, we're life. And they put that gold record on the probe that if anybody finds it, it has, messages in all different languages and stuff. And he had come out and said that might not be a good idea to let them know that we're here. It could be
Well,
dangerous.
yeah, I mean, is it better for people to be aware, or is it better for people to be ignorant to your existence, right? Excuse me. It's kind of like you go into the ghetto, right? Do you want to wear a pair of $500 shoes and a
Hmm.
$35,000 Rolex and let them know that you're here?
Yeah.
Or you just kind of want to throw on some sweatpants and a baseball cap and just try and make your way through? So it goes back to bringing attention to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so when you bring attention to yourself, a lot of people want attention. People they want to be rich, they want to be famous, right? But then
Hmm.
once they're there, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a hotel, you can't go anywhere. So what did they really get? They got attention that they really didn't want. So I think it's the same thing with these with like the planet Earth, right? Do we want to bring all this attention to
I
ourselves
don't
by
think we
trying to
should.
detect,
Yeah, I don't think we
right,
should.
by trying to detect all of these other, you know, universes or planets or life forms? Because really all we're doing is we're waving our hands and going, we're right here, we're right here. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's a lot of friendly species out there, but I'm sure there's a lot of very unfriendly.
Hostile. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, hostile.
according to Hollywood, they're all hostile, right? Except
Well, look at
for
those people.
ET. One more hypothesis that I want to bring up to
ET.
you, and like I said, we have like there's so many pages of this stuff where we can go on
You could
for
go
half
on
a
for
day.
hours and out months and months with this.
But before we wrap up, because we have a few minutes left, the one hypothesis that I heard is called the zoo hypothesis. And that is that advanced civilizations are observing us, but they avoid contact. Like they're just watching us just to see how far we advanced and where we're at. Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely.
Think that we could be
I
being
think
watched?
I think that the possibilities are infinite. Like,
Yeah,
are they watching to create data? Are we ahead of their time? Are we behind their time?
exactly.
Y-
Forward
You
or
know what I mean?
behind.
Like,
Yeah, right.
so it could be a project to help them maintain betterment on their planet, or it could be like, experimental stuff, right? They throw a couple of clowns down here to stir up the mix and see how it works out for them. Maybe it's experimentation for their planets or life sources. Don't think that anything's not possible, because it is. I think everything's possible.
Right.
Um, as far as where we're going with the technology, you see how things are picking up speed. It's not even worth learning how to use technology, because what you learn today is irrelevant tomorrow.
Completely
And
outdated immediately.
so it's moving so quickly
Yeah.
that it makes you wonder, where are we at on the time frame with this earth, you know what I mean?
Well, they were saying, like, imagine what we will have in just 100 years from now, what it'll be like. I don't know if you've seen on the news, but China has a new robot out now, and it walks normally, just like a human. You were to see this thing on stage, you would think, oh no, there's somebody in that outfit there walking, and it's not. It is one of their most advanced robots. And when you see this thing walked on, it looks just like a human being. It's insane. And even just some of the other things that they have that you could see. So there's a discussion out there that we can get so far advanced that they could take over.
We are obsolete.
Yeah, that we could. And that's what they say when you're looking for other life out there, other planets. Have those planets already, since they've been there 4 billion years longer than we have, Don, have they already developed nuclear weapons and wiped themselves out? Have they created
Absolutely.
so much AI and robots that they extinguish themselves from these things? These are the fears that we could have here. Like we said, we're it's a blip of time. We're only 4.5 million or billion years old. Imagine just in 100 years the technology that we could have here. I mean, like how you open the show with all the stuff our phone can do now. If you were to go back in time, say either through a time machine or through a wormhole, go back and see your great grandparents, and you were to hand them your phone. I remember when my grandma was alive, probably around, I think it was about 10 years ago, FaceTime had just come out. And I showed her my phone. She didn't speak English. She only spoke Italian, so I don't really know. But when my parents, who lived in Florida at the time, when I FaceTimed with my mother to my grandmother, the look on my grandmother's face, like she just couldn't understand it. Like it just didn't make any sense to her.
It's like showing a dog your FaceTime. They don't know what's going on,
Yeah, I mean, we're so far advanced already. What do you think it's going to be like in 100 years, let alone 1,000 years? Are we going to be able to travel faster? What do you think it'll be?
um, I could tell you it's probably blow people's minds, or they won't like me, or they don't agree. But I don't care.
Everybody likes
I
Don.
don't see. I don't see how this world can last. I don't
Yeah,
see how it's
that's a
possible.
great point. The
Okay.
way we're going now, I don't think we are.
No, I don't think it can last. I don't think it can maintain. It's not non-sustainable. And I'm gonna just for a minute, because I know you said don't go off on your tangent, so I won't. But we're spiritual beings. These are bodies, right? We're spiritual beings. We've probably could have lived in a lot of different alternate universes prior. We've been alive forever. We'll be alive forever. But what we are as spiritual beings is pure thought, right? And I think that a lot of these planets, their life source is pure thought. Okay. And so when you're pure thought, you can do everything's infinite. So there's nothing that you can't do, create, or know. So I don't. I'll leave it at that. So I don't think these bodies can live in this physical universe.
For much
I don't.
longer.
I don't think it can last that much longer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much longer time frame wise that means. If it's 10
Yeah,
years, if it's 100 years, if it's 1,000 years, I don't know, but that's a spec, right?
it really is. And
Yeah.
that's a great point, and I agree with you on that. And that's something we could definitely follow up on. I did write down a few final notes, a final message that I wanted to get across
Hmm.
to the people.
Sure.
And the one is that the search for extraterrestrial life is ultimately about understanding ourselves, which I think kind of goes back to what you were saying. Survival requires wisdom, cooperation, and responsibility with technology. Another thing circling back to what you were talking about. Now, whether alone or not, humanity must strive to become a civilization worthy of cosmic contact, which means we have to be ready because it could happen at any time. And the final message is the cosmic silence may not be permanent. And when it ends, we we must be ready. Those are my final notes on what we thought. I know we could talk about this for hours, and I would like to revisit this. I know we say that a lot, and this topic could definitely go on. And like I said, it's changing every day. Every day it's
See,
changing.
the funny thing about this topic and a lot of these other topics is it's a starting point, right? And
Yeah.
it just grows as a flower, and you can go in a million different directions. Um, but I really, I believe it all starts with thought, reality. like you said, responsibility,
Yeah.
understanding, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, my last thought for this show is
Hmm.
one thing. A lot of people, they talk about what should I invest in, right? A lot of people, they want to invest in stuff, right? Stocks and bonds and real estate. You know what I say you invest in? You invest in you, right?
That's a
Invest in,
good
number
message.
one, your body. Number two, or actually number one should be your mind, right? And your belief system. And then for the existence here on this earth should be your body, right? And so I think the best thing that we can do is educate ourselves, invest in ourselves, make ourselves a better human being one day at a time.
I think that's a great final message, and I hope people will understand that. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind everybody to go to our website, donhanstonshow.com. That's donhanstonshow.com. You could email us if you have any questions. We're curious to see what you think about what we brought up today. Let us know what you think. And our email address is straightupdonhanson@gmail.com. Straightupdonhanson@gmail.com. Check out our podcast on Apple, Overcast, Spotify, Rumble, iHeartRadio, even Amazon Audio has us. And I was on a couple other different podcast apps, like there's radio.net and everything that carry our show. And it's really great what's out there. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a few shows we did prior that didn't make it to YouTube, but they are out there in audio form. They're on Spotify and all the outlets I just referred to before. So if you're picking up this show and wondering where were the last couple shows, why has it been so long? Check out audio only podcasts because we didn't put them out on YouTube. And if you are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the live button, hit the bell, leave us a comment so you could be made aware anytime a new show posts, and let us know what you think of the show. And we want to thank you for joining us today for Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show. And we'll see you guys again real soon.
Thank you.